Okay, now we're recording. So whoever's going to listen to this missed that first part about what Access is. The biggest difference with Access and the other applications we've been using is we can't share to OneDrive like we've been doing. It's the one program where we can't go to Save As and save it to our SharePoint. It just doesn't allow us to do that. So here's what we have to do as a workaround. And this is what we're going to do today. We're on page 36 in the Access chapter, and the Access chapter is, it's like a purple. It's not blue. Remember, Word was blue, so it's like a dark blue, the page numbers. In OneDrive, I want you to go into your data files for this class. And go into the Access folder. And the first folder, AL1C1, that stands for Access Level 1, Chapter 1. I want you to open the Griffin database. Now, we really don't need to open it at this point. We could just download it, but I want to show you a couple of things. Number one, it opens differently than what you're used to because OneDrive, you know how we've been able to see like Excel or PowerPoint, we can see it right in OneDrive and then we have to open it in the program. We don't have an online version of Access, so we have to just open it in Access. Now, if you're in Internet Explorer, you get the bar that shows up at the bottom of the page. But if you're in Chrome, you have a little file down here in the left-hand corner you need to click on. All you have to do is click on it. It will open the Access file, and it might take a while for it to open. And it looks like this. When it opens, don't freak out, it looks empty. It's not empty, but it looks empty. And yours might take a little longer than mine the first time. I had some this morning that took quite a while to open. We need to actually save this to the computer. Then we have to upload it to OneDrive because we can't just go to Save As and put it on the SharePoint. There is a SharePoint option. Let me just show you real quick under File, Save As, but it doesn't work. It doesn't actually let me go to my SharePoint. So we can't really use that option. So we're going to click the Save As button if you have this yellow bar. Is there anyone in here that does not have this read-only yellow bar? Because there are a few for my morning class. You're going to go to File, Save As, and then click, just by default, don't change anything else, click again, Save As, the disk right here. And my recommendation is just to save it right on the desktop. So navigate to the desktop, scroll up and click Desktop. We're not changing the name of it. We're leaving the name exactly the way it reads and click Save. So we've saved it to the desktop. We're going to actually work in it on the desktop, and then when we're all finished, we'll upload it to OneDrive. And you guys are my guinea pigs. My morning class, I had them do something different and it didn't work, so they did all of this work and we saved it, but it didn't save to OneDrive like we thought that it did. So I'm doing something a little different with you, hoping that it will work. So if you feel like a guinea pig, it's because you are. Okay, now your read-only bar should be gone. And make sure you click Enable Content. Okay, I am on page 36. My goal is to get through the first 4 assessments. So if you're gone or have to leave early, then you will need to upload this to OneDrive. So I'm speaking, I know specifically to Anthony because he has to leave for basketball. So when you get ready to leave, make sure you upload that file to OneDrive. The way that's done is right now it's on your desktop. Sorry, I have to move all this stuff out of my way. You'll go into your folders and just click Upload and you navigate to the desktop and upload it, okay? Okay, we're going to learn about Access as we go through it. I could give you all of this interesting stuff that you would find very, very, very boring. Honestly, I would find it boring too. So we'll learn about these things as we go through and work in this program. This entire window we have open is the database. It's for a company called Griffin Technologies. And inside this database, we have a lot of different objects we can work with. And we're going to start in this chapter by working with tables. We're familiar with tables. And tables in Access work almost exactly like tables in Excel with a few minor adjustments. So the first thing we're going to do is look at this employees table. In the left-hand navigation pane, there is one table that's already been created. If you double-click on that employees, it will open up the table in the middle of the screen in this main window. Looks pretty familiar, right? It looks just like a table if you were working in Excel. Excuse me. We are going to start by deleting the record for Scott Jorgensen. He's employee number 1025. So find employee number 1025. The column says employee ID. Find him, Scott Jorgensen. Click in the gray box to the left of his employee ID number. It selects that entire row. Now I'm a right clicker, so I'm going to right click and choose delete record. And it's going to say, are you really sure you want to do this? Because once you do it, once you delete it, we can't undo. That's something else that's different in Access. Your undo key isn't as friendly as Excel and other programs are. So go ahead and click yes. So we really do want to delete it. And let's also delete the employee number 1060, Leanne Taylor. And then at the top of page 37, we have two new records that we are going to insert. And we're going to put these at the very bottom. We have this blank row. Each one of these, by the way, are called records. So each employee has an employee ID number. And in this record, we have their birth date, how much money they make, their hire date. When we type in the numbers for birth date, it's already pre-formatted. So we don't have to put the full year, we can just put the last two numbers. When we get to the annual salary, we don't have to type the dollar sign, the comma, or the decimal, or the numbers afterward. We just type the numbers and it will format it for us. So let's put these two records in. We're at the very bottom blank row. The first record, does everybody have their textbook? Okay, so when we're working in Access, make sure you're bringing those every day because there's going to be a lot more typing than probably what you're used to. Okay, so the employee ID is 1010. The last name is Harrington. First name is Tyler. Birth date 9/7/76. You do have to put the / in, and I'm using my number pad because it makes it easier. Tab between each one of these cells. The annual salary is 53350. It will format it for you. His hire date is 10/1/10. You can either press enter at this point or tab. I just continue to press tab. It takes me down to the next new record. And I wish I could magnify this for you, but I can't. This is there's no way for me to do that except changing the resolution on my screen. Okay, the second new record, employee ID 1052. Last name, Reeves. First name, Carrie, C-A-R-R-I-E. Birth date, 12/4/78. Annual salary, 38,550. 38,550. Hire date, 10/1/12. Go ahead and press tab or enter. It doesn't make a difference again which one you do. Okay, now, earlier I told you this entire thing is the database. And the book wants us to close the employees table. Right now, you can see the name employees right here where my mouse is. And this is the table we're working on. To the right of this, hopefully you can, yep, right here where my mouse is. Well, let me move this out of the way. Right here is an X. I'm going to click that. Do not click the big X up top. We're choosing this X right here. All we're doing is closing the employees table. So when I click that, it automatically just saved the employees table for us. Okay, now we're going to open it back up. We wanted to save all of that first. You'll notice it's saved, and also it reorganized it. 1010, Tyler Harrington, we had him at the bottom, and it put him in order just automatically when we closed it. Now we are putting in a new column of information. If we look at page 36 in the middle, we can see this database diagram. And there's a line, let's see, I'm getting ahead of myself. Right between birth date and annual salary is a new field ID called department ID. Well, we're missing that, so we need to add it. We're going to add it in the far right column. It says click to add. Click the drop-down arrow next to that text and choose short text. Now, we call it short text, but it actually will hold 255 characters. And the book tells us we're putting in an ID code for the department, and we only want it to be 2 characters. So first of all, we're going to name this field. Right now it says field 1. We're going to name it department ID. So DEPT ID. So I'm abbreviating department, and then I have ID in all caps next to it. So DEPT, capital I, capital D. Press enter. Now when I do that, it shifts me to the click to add, but I don't want to mess with that. So click back on department ID. Click twice. And up here at the top, sorry I keep having to move all this Zoom stuff. We have our table tools, fields and table. Click the fields tab. And right here underneath it says field size, 255. Change that to 2. We won't always change it. Go ahead and click yes. Make sure you don't click no, that's default. We won't always change it, but it's a good idea to change it in this example because our department IDs are no longer than 2 characters long. And sometimes, and I've done this, we get ahead of ourselves and we forget to press tab or enter, and we end up with like the public relations department in there twice, PR. And this won't let us do that. It'll give us a message that says you can only put it in 2 characters in this field. So that's the reason for limiting that field size. Okay, now we're going to put in all these department IDs. And if you have a textbook, it's on page 37 at the top on step 7. They go from right to left. The employee ID is labeled first, and then the department ID code. So turn your caps lock on. Those of you who don't have a book, just follow along what I'm typing. Hopefully you can see it. Also, use your down arrow, it'll be faster. So I'm typing HR in this first field with then my down arrow key. Hopefully I'm not making mistakes, so if you're copying me, I'm okay. I don't like the way this is written in the book. I wish it was in column format. I think it would be easier for us to just go right down the list. Okay, now close this employees table. Do not close the whole database, just the table, and it will save everything you just did. Now we need to create another table that explains to us what each one of those codes mean. Do we know what those mean? Not really, not yet. Now, if we worked for this company, we probably would. And there's a reason we do this the way that we do it. They're relational. They have relationships. So this next table has a relationship with the employees table. And it's because we're telling, turn the page to page 38. It's because we're going to create this departments table that actually explains what each one of these department IDs stands for. Okay, so at the very top of page 38, you'll see this table we're getting ready to create. So hopefully you're all at this screen. Click the Create tab and choose Table. It starts a little mini table for us. Now there are some changes we have to make, so don't just start typing. Stay with me, follow me. So right now, by default, every table has this ID column, this field. And we need to change that from auto number to short text. So I need you to click the word ID so that it selects it. Your Fields tab should already be selected. And the data type, right here where my mouse is, says auto number. Click that drop-down arrow and choose short text. You can't choose the drop-down arrow next to ID. You have to come up here onto the ribbon and choose short text. Now we can change the field size to 2. If we don't change that, it tries to auto number it like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll shoot you an error. Actually, the weird error that my morning class had was -1. I don't know where that came from, but so we had to do a couple of things to fix it. Okay, now let's rename the field name. Right now it's ID. I'm just going to double click in there, ID, and it's going to be department ID. Whoops, my all caps is still on, my caps lock. Department ID. So we already changed it to short text. We changed the field size to 2, and now we changed the name. Yes? Okay, click on the word ID. So it selects both of these. And then up here, under data type, it says auto number. Click the drop-down arrow and choose short text. Now, once you do that, then you can change the field size to 2. What? Yes, department ID. D-E-P-T ID. And sorry, I'm not following along the book very well. That's why, if you're trying to follow along with the book. Because if you saw what I did when I have notes out to the sides of the textbook out the wazoo. Now, it's important to have the textbook, but there are so many changes that are made in here. Okay, I expect things to not work, so please tell me if they're not working. Oh, okay, so you went up to the, you actually just put it under caption. And it doesn't matter if you have it. Yes. Okay, now. There you go. Okay, now do it short text too. Oh, yeah, don't. Okay, just, yeah, okay, it is what it must be, I think. That's what I did to start with. Okay, so I told you wrong. Sorry. Anyone else having issues with that? Not uncommon. Okay, it's very important that you're paying attention and that you're not on your phones. Anthony Gamble, Ashton Roy, you two are my phone junkies. Because I'm just telling you, access builds. And so if you don't get what's happening right now, you won't get it when we're in chapter 4 or 5. So it's very, very important. Some of these quirks that we're having, they're going to continue to happen, and so you have to understand how to make them work. All right, so now we're going to add our next field name. Where it says click to add, click your drop-down arrow, choose short text again. And this field name is department. And we don't need to change anything with the field size. So just type department in for the field name. Because it's a very small table. We only have 2 columns of information, department ID and department. And we have, I don't know how many records, they're not numbered. All right, so now let's go ahead and type our data in here. Under department ID, we start with A, and the department is accounting. Press enter after accounting, it takes you down to the next row. DP is design and production. HR, human resources. So now it's kind of making sense. This is the 4th time I've done this and I'm still making mistakes, so. Okay, let me make these columns bigger so you can see them. Oh, by the way, it works the same way as Excel. We can double click to auto fit a column. So between these field names, you just double click in the gray and it will resize them to auto fit. That usually means you're getting a message. Are you getting a message?
Not really.
Somebody? No? Oh, okay. More than 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it, so don't feel bad. And see, if we hadn't limited that size to 2, you would have had something totally different in there. And you would have had to fix it, so. Okay, now we're going to save this table. And the best way for us to do that, right now it's called Table 1. We're going to actually, the book says to save it, then close it, but we're going to close it and save it as it's closing. Yeah, I know it sounds backwards than what we're used to, but remember, we're not closing the whole database, we're only closing the table. So close the table, this X right over here, and it says, do you want to save it? Yes. And we want to name it department. Departments, if I could spell. Departments, yes. Plural. And click OK. So now over here in the navigation bar, we have 2 tables. We have departments and employees. And it alphabetizes those, by the way, in your navigation window. It doesn't save them as you work or save on them. They're all alphabetized. Now let's open the employees table again. And we're going to move this department ID so that it falls between birth date and annual salary. The way we do this is we click on it. I think we have to click, well, once seemed to work this time. Last time I had to click on it twice. Once I click on it once, then I can hold down my mouse on the field name, department ID, And I get that heavy dark line on the left-hand side of the column. And when I drag that over, that line moves with me. And we need it to drop it between birth date and annual salary. So we've just moved that column. Now let's look to see how this would print. If we were to print it, we are not printing it. But if we were to print it, I need to deselect this. There we go, by clicking somewhere else. Let's go to File and Print. And go down to Print Preview. And this is our table right now. Part of it is on a second page, and I only know that because my next page arrow down here at the bottom is lit up. So one column falls on the second page, which kind of looks a little tacky. So I'm going to change my page layout to landscape. As soon as I go into Print Preview, I have a whole new ribbon. I'm going to choose landscape. Now it would all fit on one. If I wanted to change the margins, by the way, I could go to margins, but I only have a few choices. I have 3 choices of margins: a normal margin, a wide margin, or a narrow margin, or a custom, but if I click on custom, it does nothing. So to change my margins, it's something that's different than other Microsoft applications. I need to click the Page Setup button. So right next to where landscape was, it says Page Setup. I need to click that. Let's change the top margin to 1.5 and the left margin to 1.25 and click OK. And this is what it would look like if we printed. So very much like Excel, an Excel table. Now we're going to close our print preview. It's got this big red X on the ribbon. Go to Page Setup. So we're in the print preview. Click the Page Setup button. And the top is 1.5 and the left is 1.25. And then close Print Preview, the big red X on the right-hand side of the ribbon. Now let's close this employees table, not the whole database. I keep reminding you I had a morning student who closed the entire database. So, and it says, do you want to make the changes? And the reason is it asks you this because we changed the actual layout and the margins. So say yes. If we just change the records themselves, it doesn't ask us, it just does it automatically. Okay, we're actually ready to start assessment 3. So Anthony, probably now would be a good time for you. Make sure you click, if it's blue, the save button. Make sure you click the save. If it's not blue, then it's saved. It just automatically saves. And then you just need to upload it to OneDrive. Okay, the rest of us, we're working on assessment 3. We're going to create another table. So click Create and Table. Now, please don't try to follow along in the book because we're going to do things just a little different in a little different order. Don't try to type the data before I've gone through these all because it just creates issues from my morning class. Okay. Now the key is on Monday when we open it, will it have the information that we did today? Because my morning class it didn't. So. Nope. Well, I mean, you'll have to finish assessments 3 and 4. Okay. But as far as homework, no. Okay. So we have this new table. Hopefully you clicked Create Table. And at the bottom of page 38, we're going to have all of these different headings, but each one is going to be a tiny bit different than what we're used to. The first one, we're going to do exactly what we did before. Click the word ID. Change the data type to short text. But we're not going to change the field size. We're going to leave it. We're going to change the field name from ID to employee ID. Now, I had a morning student who looked at the numbers on page 38 on figure 1.17 and said, why did we not choose number? Why did we choose short text? And here I'll tell you the reason why. Don't change yours, I'm just going to change mine. Under employee ID, if I were to change my data type to number, it puts a 0 in here, but it's on the right-hand side of the cell. So just by looking at figure 1.17, those numbers are on the left-hand side of the cell. It just told me that it's short text. And then if you read the steps, it actually says short text, but I didn't really read the directions. I'm much like a student. So short text it is. All right, now the second one, this is going to be a little different than what we've done before. Click your drop-down arrow on click to add. For health plan, we're going to choose the yes, no. Then we're going to click default value. See where my mouse is right here? And it actually highlighted it right away. Default value. Click that button. Right now it says no. We're going to change that to yes, and I'll explain to you why. So you're going to actually type the word yes. I don't think it matters if it's lowercase, uppercase, all caps. It doesn't matter. Click OK. It put a check mark in the box. It should have. If we look on page 38, you'll notice under that column, that health plan column, almost all of those are checked. So we're going to save a little time by putting a default value in here. If we didn't put a default value in here, we would just have to go in and check every box we needed checked. And it would just take more time, but it's possible. Yes? Okay. Okay. Oh. Now let's name the field. Right now it says field 1, and it has a check mark underneath it. Double click the word field 1 and type in health plan. Now you're going to notice in the book there's a space between health and plan. And I guess we'll talk about that a little more on another day when it comes to those field names. Actually, I'm going to do it right now. Field names should not have a space in between them. They should always be, there should be no spaces. If there is a space, it should be an underscore. So what we should probably do on health plan, go ahead and click health plan so it selects all of it with the red or pink box around it. And on the Table Tools Fields tab, it says Name and Caption. Go ahead and click that. The name is Health Plan, but the caption is going to be Health Plan with no space. This is a newer feature in Access that allows us to do it this way, so it looks nice, but we can still have the caption where there's no space. Now click OK. Now see, this is what confused me, because earlier, Amy, when I had you type it in name instead of caption, and now it took the space out. So I think it's the caption that goes in this spot, but with you, it had to be the name. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to change the name with no space, and in the caption put a space. Which is why I told Amy what I told her, but it didn't work, so I changed. Okay. And I'll have to read up on that because maybe it doesn't make a difference anymore. All right, let's do the next column where it says click to add. Yes, no, the one we're choosing. We have a default value of yes. It's the same as health plan. We chose yes. We want the box to be checked. We want to change the name, field name. I'm going to click field name, click name and caption. The name is going to be dental plan with no space. The caption will be dental plan with a space. So I'll leave this up. Dental plan with no space, and the caption is dental plan with a space. Please ask if you have questions, because I have no problem coming and helping. Something else that can save you an access if you get stuck in a cell is your escape key. Our next column, click to add, choose currency, because it's the life insurance. Click name and caption. The name, life insurance with no space. The caption, life insurance with a space. And we'll do that in this chapter, and then I'll read up and I'll find out if we actually need that anymore with the 2013 version. Okay, we chose currency, so we don't have to put the $, comma, or decimal in. And the very last one, click to add, we're going to choose short text again. Default value. Okay, I'm going to wait for everyone. So when you get to this point, wait, because it looks a little different than the last time we did a default value. This time it has an equal sign. And when I look at the data in this figure 1.17, almost all of these say 3 weeks. So we're going to put the default value of 3 weeks in here so we don't have to type it every single time. So we have the equal sign. Then I'm going to put a quotation mark, type the word 3 space weeks, and have an ending quotation marks. So anything within that quote is what will show up in my cell. So 3 weeks is what I'm putting, 3 space weeks, and it's in a set of quotes. 3 weeks, yes. Equals, quotation mark, 3 space weeks, quote. Click OK. It will put 3 weeks into that field. Now click field 1. There's a reason I chose the default value before I named it. This morning when we did it the other way around, there were a lot of issues, so this is why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. Now click name and caption. And this is vacation. We didn't need to do that, I guess. Vacation, just put it in the name. We don't need the caption because it doesn't have a space. What was your question? Okay, so yours should all look like mine. We've got employee ID. There's nothing in it right now. We've got health plan with a check mark in the box, dental plan with a check mark in the box, life insurance with $0 and 0 cents, vacation of 3 weeks. Do you all have that? Yay, that's a good thing. All right, so we're going to start with our first employee. The ID is 103. We can tab through health plan and dental plan because they're both checked for this employee. They have life insurance in the amount of $100,000, so just put in 100,000 without a comma. Now in this one, they have 4 weeks of vacation, so we're going to type, instead of 3 weeks, we'll just type 4 weeks. Press tab for the second employee, 105. They also have the health and dental plan, so we don't need to make any changes. The life insurance is $200,000, and they have a 3-week vacation, so we don't have to change anything. Press tab. That's why we use that default value, so it just saves us a little time. Our next employee is employee number 106. They do not have the health plan, so you need to deselect that box. And tab through, they do have the dental plan. They have $150,000 in life insurance and a 3-week vacation. Next, employee 109. They have health and dental and a $200,000 life insurance policy with 3 weeks of vacation. Employee 110 has both health and dental, a life insurance of $185,000 and a 4-week vacation. So that default value has saved us a lot of time, but in this one we have to actually type it. Next employee, we're only going to go down to employee number 120, by the way. If you have a book, stop at employee 120. So 112, they do not have the health plan, but they have dental. 112, $200,000 in life insurance and 3 weeks of vacation. Next, employee 117, they don't have health or dental, but they have a life insurance plan of $100,000 and 3 weeks of vacation. And our last employee that we're going to do is 120. They have both health and dental, $200,000 and 4 weeks of vacation. The relationship here between this and our employees table is this employee ID number. All right, so now we're going to save this table as benefits. So does everyone have this done? Sorry, I should wait a few minutes. While we're waiting, let's auto fit these columns. So it's good practice to auto fit. So between employee ID and health plan, let's double click. Health plan and dental plan, double click once you get to you get the double arrows or the crosshair, I call it. Life insurance is really the only one I really see that it's affected. Vacation. Okay, so now let's close this table 1 and name it benefits. So say yes, name it benefits. Yes. Did you have a question, Harmony? Okay. Must have just been stretching or I was imagining things. That's a good possibility. Okay, so we have 3 tables that we have created: the benefits table, the departments table, and the employees table. And the last thing that we're doing, yay, we made it through all 4 assessments, is sorting the data in the employees table. So let's open the employees table. Double click employees. I really like the sorting feature in Access. It's much easier than any other program. If you remember in Excel, we had to select all of the data before we sorted it so that it didn't rearrange it and put the wrong numbers with the wrong people. It doesn't do that in Access. The book wants us to sort in ascending order by last name. So just click somewhere in the last name column. It doesn't even matter where. And on the Home tab, we have the ascending sort, A to Z, and you just click that button and it sorts all of the data together. So now we've sorted by last name and it's sorted all of it. So Melissa Alvarado's, all of her information came with her. It didn't reorganize like it would have done in Excel. Then let's close this employees table. It says, do we want to make changes? Yes. Open the benefits table. And let's sort by life insurance. So click in the life insurance column and let's sort in descending order. So click descending. And there we go. If this were longer, like the picture actually showed, it would make a little more sense why we would sort it. But go ahead and close that benefits table. Yes to saving. Okay, now here's the test. We're going to close this Access folder, this database, the whole thing. So we've worked in it, it's saved. If you still have a little blue disk up here, you need to click it, but it should all be saved. It saves automatically as we worked in it. It's been asking you. Now let's close the whole database. And remember that it's saved on our desktop. If you have a flash drive, you can always save to a flash drive. Now go into your files, the one that you created for this class, and you save all your files into it. I'm going to go into mine. Okay, let me delete this one because it did not save the way it should have. Okay, so you've got your folder. You're ready to upload. You probably have, you have a folder in here called Graded, and you probably have a couple of more PowerPoint things in there. Which, by the way, even though you see your career PowerPoint, I actually downloaded it. So I have it saved in a whole different folder. You can't, if you make changes at this point, I don't see it. Just wanted you to be aware of that. There's two ways to upload here. You can click the upload button, or you can click and drag that file into here. I'm going to show you that method. So I'm going to restore down my window, make it smaller. Well, maybe. And I'm just going to click this Access file that's on my desktop. I'm going to drag it and drop it. And before I delete the one on my desktop, actually, you guys probably don't need to worry. I don't think there are any other classes in here. When you come into class on Monday, I want you to be aware this one that's on the desktop will not be there. Mine will be, but yours will not be. Now here's the test. I want you to now open this one. You just moved it to OneDrive. I want you to open it. We won't always do this, but we're testing it since you're my guinea pigs. I want to make sure that those 3 tables are there, and they are. Yay. Now, why it opens as read-only is beyond me, because it's your file. It's yours. Every other time we've gone to save as, like in Excel, PowerPoint, Word, it becomes your file. But now it's still giving us this message. But that's okay, because I could go in and still look at it to grade it. Does everybody have theirs here? Does it work? See, my morning class, only about 5 of them did, and mine didn't even save correctly. So I think we found the way we'll have to do this. Okay, go ahead and close it. If it asks you to save, you don't need to. And that is it for us today. Yay! All right, one thing, let me tell you first before you go, there are changes to the syllabus. Don't forget that November 16th, we won't have class at all. And some of the other changes that I've made is we're only going to go through 5 chapters of Access instead of 8. The reason for that is because as a business department, we decided that for your final, you are going to take a Microsoft Office Specialist test. It's a test that comes from Microsoft, and you will take it in Word. So the test will be Word. So if you get a 70% or above, you then become a Microsoft Office Specialist in Word. So something you could put on your resume, and that will be your final for this class. It was going to originally be an Access test, but now it's going to be this MLS test on the day of the final. And so what we'll do is review for that the day beforehand. So it kind of adjusts that syllabus a little bit. Okay? I didn't think anyone would complain about I'm knocking off 3 chapters of Access. But if you really want to do it, you can come and see me and I'll help you. Okay, that's it. We're done. Have a great weekend.